All right, doing a quick kind of comparison video here of the three plastics and talking about when I would use one over the other. The color here, don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. There's not situations where, oh, I'm going to throw a certain color that would cause me to change to a certain bait. It's really the scenarios in which I would use one over the other, and the color would potentially play into it separately. So don't pay, like I said, these two are green. This one's green pumpkin, this one's Alabama craw, and this one's just obviously white with silver flake. That just happens to be the baits that I had laying around, but the color doesn't really play into this. So, anyways, first one I have here is the baby brush hog. The baby brush hog I do use quite a bit. I actually did the tabletop review video of that, and primarily, I mean, I use this bait a lot, and there's probably not a situation where I wouldn't feel comfortable throwing it. But what I like about the baby one is it's a little bit more finesse presentation. As you can see by these two, they're very similar, but this one is a much slender, more narrow presentation. This one also tends to be fairly durable. Doesn't seem like it has that high of a salt content. You can buy some with a higher salt content. So basically, when you have higher salt content, you get better action and lower durability, and vice versa. You can't have both. But this one, typically is more finesse. A lot of times when I throw this, I'm basically just letting it sit. So I typically will Texas rig this. Sometimes I'll peg the baby brush hog, and I'll just kind of let it sit and maybe twitch it every now and then. But I'm not really, it's more of a finesse presentation. I'm not really doing a whole lot with it. Where I really like to use the Bandito bug, and you can tell this one's got all the appendages kind of ripped off of it, is when I'm like flipping and pitching and really want something that has a lot more action. And I just, for whatever reason, find that the Bandito bug kind of fits that niche for me very nicely. I was actually too, I don't know if you can tell that these are all kind of wet. I was actually throwing them in a pitcher of water to see how they move. And it's, obviously this Bandito bug has a lot more action than the other two. So the only con to it, and like so you can see it in the bait, is that these little appendages tend to get pulled off of this one, and this one tends to have a higher salt content than, say, the Vilebug, or even just the regular baby brush hog. But this one, I've gotten a lot of bites on it. A lot of, like I said, this action of these flippers is pretty good as it comes down in the water. They kind of kick back and forth, and so as it sinks. And this one too, I noticed when I put it in there, it tends to want to sink nose down pretty well, and these appendages flap around, pretty erratically. So it's got a lot of action to it. The Vilebug really doesn't, unless you're moving it through the water. These flippers really don't move a whole lot unless you're really kind of moving it or the water's carrying it. But really where I like this one is the durability. So this thing, I fished it literally all day. So these other baits, I probably change them out a couple times in an hour just because they tend to get torn up. This one I fished all day, and it looks, aside from the fact that I dipped the appendages, looks like it would when it would come out of the package. There's no appendages missing. There's nothing really loose. I think one of these appendages has a little tear in it, so this one has like a little, probably can't even see it. It's got a little tear in it. But this is a pretty durable bait, and where I really like to do that and use this one is, like I said, this one I would flip around typically just in the water where I don't think there's gonna be a lot of obstacles or obstructions, and I'll just kind of flip this around. Like, so where you get in trouble is when there's things that the appendages can get caught on, and it ends up kind of ripping the appendages up. The other thing too is typically after throwing them for a while, the nose tends to split. I don't know if you can see this one. Yeah, the nose is split. Sometimes what I'll do though, if you want to get a little more life out of these when you're done, is I'll just kind of pull them or cut them at the bottom, and then I'll tend to use, like, if I'm trying to do like a real compact jig presentation, I'll use like the back end of this as like a jig trailer or something like that. But so that's typically where I use that, is when I'm just pitching it around and there's not a lot of submerged structure or anything for it to get caught on. This one, the Vilebug, I'll use print it like I'm skipping it under docks. Traditionally in the same places that I would also use the Bandito bug, but Also, like I said, if I'm more worried about it getting snagged or caught on something. I tend to fish the brush hog pretty slow, and I kind of mentioned finesse earlier. This one I tend to move fairly quickly, just in terms of hopping it, skipping it around, moving it. And then this one I tend to fish probably more of a medium speed. So hopefully that kind of helps you. And part of the reason too that I would use this one for flipping more so than this one, they do have the similar profile, you could skip with both of them, is just that this one has a little bit better durability. So when you're trying to get it up under docks and things like that, I just feel like this bait's going to hold up a lot better than the Bandito bug was. But I still would use it. You're just going to go through a lot more of them. So hopefully that's helpful. And hopefully that, when you're making a soft plastic selection between kind of these, I guess what you call creature style baits, that will help you out. Till next time.